Howdy, lovelies. Alright, first on the list tonight for our breed section is the Neuri. N-E-U-R-I. Neuri. Okay, now I mentioned in the update video that this is kind of a gray area, and here's why. The Neuri were extremely nomadic. Like, they moved around a lot, and they moved far distances, so it's really hard to find anything on them. But that's what note taking's for. Let's see. They were talked about most predominantly by Herodotus, and he said that they were driven from their lands 1 year before the attack of Darius, which was in around 512 BC, by an invasion of serpents. There's a Scythian tale that once a year, the Neuri would turn into wolves for so many days, and then they would turn back. Now, trying to track them down was... They were mentioned about being in Sweden in 400 BC, accompanying the Budner, which were a mix of Scythian, Greek, and Hebrew. Let's see. They were also said to be a remnant of the 10 tribes of Israel, circa 722 BCE, with Slavic origins. This was mentioned by an 18th century Swedish historian by the name of Olaf von Dahlen. From there, they moved northwest into the Ukraine. Okay, because we will be, just a little side snippet, because we will be talking about a lot of ancient history. For those of you who don't know, I'm mostly directing this to the younger generation because I don't know how your history is being taught right now. BC, keep in mind that it counts backwards, counting down to 0, and then AD counts up from 0. So, remnant of the 10 tribes of Israel placed them on very, very far south. And that's at 722 BCE. So, when Herodotus speaks of them, that's in 512 BC. So this is a much later date. This is almost 200 years later. And then another 100 years later, they're in Sweden. So, they are literally, they have migrated from Southern Europe, Middle East, and they migrated northwest. And I mean, there's little snippets of it around Germany, around Ukraine, even so far as the western Ukraine, bordering in Celtic areas, because there's a lot of Celtic names that are derived from the Neuri culture too. So, I mean, that literally puts them everywhere. And I mean, like, and that's not even like a mildly migratory thing. That's like a huge thing. I mean, you're migrating across the biggest one of the biggest continents in the world. The biggest. Sorry, my geography just went just then. But now, because of the story about the Neuri changing once a year for several days, this runs along with a lot of other wolf cults and wolf breeds. For example, the Faolids, which I will be getting into later on, and that's going to be a real fun topic for us. They had a similar story behind it about changing only so often. And the Faolids were a fairly well-documented breed. Kind of like Benedicti. They were well-documented as well. Neuri, not so much, because they were nomadic. But I mean, I've got like 3 snippets on this breed that span 300 years. So in 300 years, they literally went from like Greece and Israel and all these southern countries, all the way to like one of the most northernmost points you can get to. And I mean, if you can find more on them, absolutely contribute to it. Because, I mean, I know this is going to be kind of a short video for me, and I didn't give you a whole lot to go on. But I did say I was going to talk about the breeds, and I did forewarn that this was going to be a gray area and that there wasn't a lot on them. So if you want to do that, go for the extra credit homework, by all means research them. Hell, educate me. Tell me something I don't know. But I did say I was going to cover a breed tonight. I did choose the Neuri. I did try to find what I could on them, and I did take notes. I mean, that right there, the fact that I had to take notes on them because they're so hard to track, and I went through like 3 of my books. So absolutely, if you can find more information to contribute, I will be more than happy to accept it and post an update on this breed. But pretty much all we know about them is they were of mixed descent and they turned into wolves. And I mean, the Scythians have a really rich culture and history, so by all means look that up. I will spell it out for you. It is Scythian. And we'll also be getting into Acadians and their talk about werewolves and everything. There were rumors that the entire people were wolfy type. May or may not be true. All I know is that they do get mentioned a lot in Acadian history, and whenever you're looking and doing research on it, Acadians get brought up a lot. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's not my best video, but I hope it gave you something, or at least gave you something fun to look up. But I will be making more videos tonight, so keep tuning in, and as always, comment, share, subscribe, suggest topics. Y'all have a good night.